Sarah Holbrook. I'm the executive director of the Pinhead Institute here in Telluride, Colorado, and the lucky person who gets to sit down and interview Mayor Sean Murphy.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, so good. It's a little quiet right now.
It is. It's still
almost
off-season.
mid-May, and it was snowing like crazy today.
Exactly.
It snowed like crazy last week. What's going on with town government?
Well, just broader scale, that snow means it confirms 99% of Colorado's out of drought now. So,
oh, thank goodness.
yes,
That's
including
a big,
us.
big deal.
So, and actually, not town council specific, but town manager just lifted a week ago Friday the water restrictions.
Ah, okay.
So we are back to responsible use. We want to underline that and highlight and you know, triple underscore.
Yeah. Nobody needs to be watering their lawns right now.
No.
Yeah.
So we're anyway. Good news is, it's nice that we have precipitation.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
Town-wise, you know, we make it a policy not to do tons of heavy lifting during off-season. We don't want people to be
here and they want people to chime in.
Excluded from being part of the process. So last town council meeting, which was April 30th, was a shorter one. We focused mostly on just housekeeping, the franchise agreement with the cable company, for example, and sexy things like amending the vending code. So that we allow the farmers market, you know, in the pocket park there next to Butcher Baker to have 8x8 tents because they're not otherwise allowed to have such a large tent. I mean, it's ministerial, I would call it administrative and ministerial stuff without,
for a second
so
there.
I think the interview's done. So the only good headlines that, and this is town council, these are works in process. First of all, we did hire, we interviewed and selected a planning team for the Southwest Area Master Plan.
Oh,
so
sweet.
what is that, you might ask?
The Southwest Area Master Plan, is that where Shandoka or Carhenge is,
right.
those parking lots?
This is town-owned land that basically, if you think about it, that starts from the Mountainside Inn, i.e. from Carhenge, all the way over to Public Works, and then comes up all the way up Mahoney.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the idea is, first of all, I think those of us that have walked, driven, or biked, or avoided all the above in that area of Pacific where it's really tight. Sometimes on Mahoney you've got people ripping through there, and it's really, we want to create more of a pedestrian-friendly, oriented
So is the plan maybe to put like a sidewalk on the side that's to the west of Mahoney, so it would be, you know,
Funny
basically
you should
along
say
the
that.
public land?
Apparently there's the ability to have a boardwalk there.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
And there may be some precedent. I think there might have been one
that
there
would make
at
us
some
feel
time.
like we were strolling in the middle
Atlantic
of the woods
City.
or something. Oh, well, Atlantic
except
City
with
too.
beautiful nature next to you instead of, well, we won't characterize New Jersey.
No, let's not
we'll leave that
characterize
alone.
New Jersey, yes. Some of my best friends are from New Jersey, Sean.
Some of our great locals are from New Jersey, too.
Yes, exactly,
so,
but a boardwalk, what a great idea.
We'll leave that alone. So the idea is town-owned land, pedestrian circulation, vehicular circulation, long-term parking plan.
Great.
So the town clearly has been at this since Elaine Fisher's time, probably before. They've done specific studies in the late 90s, early 2000s, defined the scope of what parking, commuter intercept parking could look like. We obviously have 144 spaces currently for commuter parking at the Carhenge lot, and we have winter day skier parking there as well. But the idea is, if we really want to get cars off the streets in the town of Telluride, then we need to find a convenient, free, you know, appealing incentive to get drivers to stop right as they get into town,
and then
instead
take
of
a
going
bus or walk in from those parking spots.
So we've hired a firm called DHM out of Carbondale, Denver, and Billings, Montana, I think, and they and Durango as well. They have teamed up with Charles Cuniff Architects, with Amy Levick's planning entity, and also with an engineering firm, a Colorado engineering firm. This holistic brained consultant is going to start a process with us. They're going to come in May, so it is May. Later on in May, they will be back to meet with the committee, which is the entire town council, meet with the entire town staff, so to get the parameters about what are the zoning treatment overlays over there, what's possible, what's been suggested and failed before, because many of the community that were around in 2007, us excluded, had lived through a very tumultuous time where the then government really tried to engage not just town-owned land in the discussion, but also privately owned property.
And it didn't go that well?
And it didn't go that well. That's a nice way to put it.
So now we're going to do
so we've decided, let's focus on our own knitting.
Okay.
Let's signal maybe to private landowners in the area. The town would like to, for example, on Carhenge, let's say we have a multi-use site, light commercial, some residential, some free market residential, some a lot of deed restricted residential. Who knows, maybe even a hotel that lends itself to, we could sell off a portion of that and then use those proceeds like we're doing with the garage, with the AHA school to fund things like a garage.
Sure.
We could fund things like building more affordable housing. But these are the things that really don't, they're not the bite-sized $1 to $2 million a year kind of projects or subsidies required. These are $10 to $30 million.
So it's a big project and you need to get it right.
The idea is let's figure out where we're going and then let's start saving up, or let's figure out what assets we own that we might want to convert in order to do that. So, or the idea of, we keep talking, or we love to pay lip service, council does, to public-private partnerships.
Yes.
How many of them do you see happening?
Not any.
So this is an area that's ripe for public-private partnerships, and the hope is we get, over the next several months, we have a series of public meetings. So between June 10th and June 12th, the dates aren't picked yet, but we gave them a 3-day range literally this past Monday, the consultants, and we said, please come and do your, come in May, do your research,
and
understand
then
what
come
parameters.
Back in June with like a little presentation
Come
so
to
we can take a
come
look
to the
at
community with a presentation, exactly.
Oh, great. Well,
and then
watch out
start
for that.
soliciting community input. So just sort of placehold, save the dates, 10, 11, and 12 of June for more community engagement, and the first step of many. This will probably take 6 months or so. And the nice news is some of this team, like Amy Levick, can actually download and help these people understand, hey, this failed last time. Don't go there.
Exactly.
Don't you dare do this. Or
and she will always think public housing as well, so she'll be
right,
very
because
helpful.
she's the head of the Community Housing Trust now.
Exactly. Oh, that's
so
interesting.
there's some the opportunity is, or the idea is, let's get that whole side of town engaged in a dialogue to talk about what
over
they
there.
want to happen. Yes,
we'll be
exactly.
there at the meeting.
The Cimarron members of our stakeholder community.
Yes.
Exactly. So the idea is we at least, so we're off to the races. We selected a firm, and not just one firm, but it's a 4-firm partnership.
Right.
That's going to serve as our advisors. We go through a process. I think we're devoting about $40,000 to this process. We'll come up with a conceptual master plan, and then that'll indicate what the next steps are and maybe what the next projects are.
Wow, that sounds great. Let's talk about sales tax and real estate transfer tax. How's it looking?
It's looking really good.
No way.
I don't want to be falsely optimistic. We had a super strong winter.
Oh, well, yeah, there was a lot of snow.
Sales tax was up over 20% for the comparable period the year prior.
That's so funny. And that was up, which we thought was because the snow was not good,
Last
so we
year,
thought people were shopping. And now to be 20 up from that is
It's
a good thing.
sort of
and
the
that
tail.
money goes to your salaries, keeping the lights on, that kind of thing, right?
Like the general services that the town provides,
so it's nice to have 20% up from
so
that.
we're starting the year with a nice little healthy cushion at the
because
beginning.
You never know what's going to happen. And what about
And
the
real estate transfer tax, okay, so this is a story of, if you take the absolute measurement, we're up 27.4%.
Nuts.
But that means it's really one project related because the Ajax Hotel lot closed.
Right, just went.
And so that lot closed, that brought in over $300,000 of revenue for us. If you take that out, if you so-called normalize for that, we're really down 6% for the same period a year ago.
Okay, sure.
But real estate transfer tax
we'll
really isn't even,
it,
so I wouldn't suggest that we necessarily look at it as, oh, we should be depressed about that. I would say, all things considered, we're in a good spot. We have no clue what's coming for the rest of the year, but there's less inventory, so I wouldn't expect a ton of houses to be flying off the shelves. But who knows?
We'll wait and see.
But that money, to your point, just to draw the parallel with sales tax revenue, go to general fund things. Our real estate transfer tax, as we often point out, goes into our capital fund.
Capital
and that's things like repaving the spur, which is going to happen in June.
Wow, yes,
so
let's talk about that. And also it goes to the sewage treatment plant, right? Because doesn't the town have to contribute to that as well?
We do. We have an interim term commitment of some cash, and then we're going to we are going to go to the voters in November and ask them for a modest bond, like a $6 million bond.
Because it needs to get done.
We ourselves are going to put about $2 million of cash into some intermediate level or intermediate term improvements at the sewer treatment plant site. So,
and you mentioning the spur brings me to the questions from the community.
Yeah.
Potholes. When is it going to be warm enough for us to start fixing the potholes? Because I know it's only temporary. You try the best you can. You try to keep up with them, but then the weather and plows and everything spits it all out, so you have to go back again and again. When does the actual permanent fix for these issues start? Once it warms up in June?
Once it warms up in June is the
Okay,
answer.
okay.
And frankly, I feel your pain because if you've ever circumnavigated down to Element 52, we
where
have
you
the
live, it's
worst
really
potholes
bad. You
right in
do.
front of Viking Lodge.
It's terrifying.
And so
Yeah.
you have to, I
Yeah.
mean, I have a very low to the ground car.
Yeah.
And even though it's four-wheel drive, if you drop 16 inches, that's
It's
not
bad.
good.
Yeah, that
and
is not
so
good. Yeah.
it's one-way traffic, or one lane open only effectively through that 90 degree and 90 degree because of those potholes. Now, the good news is the mayor gets no special treatment. So Public Works has heard about this, and it's not a priority for them.
Right.
So,
is it built on density and how often the roads are used?
Yeah, it's really, it's a function of how vital is the thoroughfare. And people getting to my front door is not vital. So
there's not maybe as many people, it's not quite as dense a population area or as dense a traffic area as some of the other places that
Part
also
of it is
have
the hotel
pretty bad-
function of Mountainside Inn and River Club, which are not year-round occupied.
Right.
Element 52 as well. There are only probably 10 of us who live there year-round.
Yeah,
so
as opposed to Main Street outside of Clark's where, there's a
or
lot
some
of traffic.
honking huge thing on Pacific where you've got a lot of crosstown traffic.
Yeah, so those have to get fixed first. Once it's June, that's when we'll see
Public
the work.
Works is well aware of this. The town manager, actually, Ross Herzog, did an extensive interview actually recently, about 2 weeks ago, with our local newspaper journalist. And actually, I think it was Justin. And so Justin wrote an article that really pulled together sort of the long-term look on that, but you're right, we have to wait. Even the spur, we were hoping to be able to get to that like literally next week.
But it's snowing today, so that's not going to happen.
And we may have to wait until after Bluegrass, you know, the last part of June instead of the first part of June.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a little early, as we know. We're mid-May, as you say, so hopefully the weather will brighten up. We did get some sun poking through at the end of our snow event.
Yes,
and,
it was quite a snow event
drizzle
today.
event at the beginning.
And I think it's going to continue. I think the snow is supposed to continue the next couple of days.
But that answer to that question is, first of all, as soon as possible. Secondly, expect it in June.
Yeah. And here's another question from the community. There was a lot of gravel put down during the winter with all of the snow to make sure the cars don't slip. And it looks like there's for traction. And it looks like there's a street sweeper that's gone through some of the more populated areas. But for example, up where we live at the top of Gregory above Spruce Street Hill, there is inches of gravel on the road. It's almost dangerous if you're walking on a slope because you could slide with the gravel. And I wonder why the street sweepers have not gotten that far up yet, or that far off Main Street. You know, Main Street doesn't seem to have any gravel anymore. But the outer reaches where we really needed the gravel this winter are thick with gravel, which is going to bleed onto people's lawns and the verges and everything and create kind of an ecological disaster between the gravel and what would like to be growing out of the earth on non-road surfaces.
In those instances where you've identified that or anybody else identifies it, email or call me. So it's smurphy@telluride-co.gov.
smurphy@telluride-co.gov.
Or 646-522-9900. And then I will elevate this. I can't tell Public Works what to do, but I will tap the manager on the shoulder and identify the area. I mean, this is normal throughout the whole plowing season. I have people reaching out to me all the time.
And
so
now the plowing season is mostly over.
I don't get to call Paul Rood or Rich Estes directly, but I get to ask the town man. Exactly.
Yeah,
I know where my authority is circumscribed, and it is right there, buddy. And so we have a chain of command, and so I will feed it straight into the top of the chain of command.
Awesome.
So you're welcome to get in touch with me anytime you'd like.
Okay,
and let me know because I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, it's a danger. Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much accumulation. What else is going on with you? I know we have to wrap it up.
You know, we have in terms of planning and in terms of foresight, the Voodoo Lounge lot. You know, the skate link park. So. There's continued interest, I will say, from maybe another P3 partner, another public-private partner, or a private partner. And there's also been movement at the Telluride Housing Authority subcommittee level to tee up that property as the next town developed property. So with or without a third-party partner. So the idea is, and the other thing to point out is as recently as last week, we sat down with the county and we're master planning. We're in the process of now getting the whole RFQ, request for qualification, ask out there finalized between the county representatives and the town representatives. That's for the Sunnyside parcel next to the Eider Creek condominium complex along the spur. So we feel like we've got that one, you know, it's been identified, it is the next thing. So obviously the SMPA lot, the Lot B, RV lot.
Which is, that's all framed in now.
The third would be there.
And then Society
number
Turn
4.
would be
that's not our.
Oh, that's not you guys.
Right.
That's that's the county.
That's a private and the county. Yes, exactly. Although that's another good project. Let's touch on that. We'll complete the thought bubble on the first one.
Yeah.
And that is that we have decided that the Housing Authority Subcommittee has decided to recommend up to Town Council, probably at the May 14th meeting, a recommendation that the town identify and designate that Voodoo Lounge lot as the next site for another affordable housing project.
Oh, good. Yeah,
So
that's wonderful.
if you're interested in that, we'll have a work session starting at 11 a.m. on May 14th at Town
work
Council
session,
at Rebecca
11
Hall.
May 14th at Rebecca Hall.
To talk about the scope of that, talk about the
affordable
parameters to
housing
put out
and
to the development community to sort of help inform and maybe guide some of the specific proposals that might come into us. Short of receiving any of those proposals, we are prepared to go ahead and do it alone too. So the idea is we need to take our time, make sure we've elicited all of the private interest and community comment as to how they want the town to approach this. Again, the 14th at 11 a.m. at Town Council Rebecca Hall.
Great.
Come for comment on that.
And then what about the traffic circle?
And then the society turn parcel. I just came out of this morning a couple of hour meeting. The County Planning Commission has been considering the applicant's proposal. So that's the applicant has proposed it's a 20-acre site. There's an idea that they would carve out 2.6 acres for the new medical center. So that would be the new home for the med center out there. They would also carve out 1.5 acres and give that to the town and the town of Mountain Village for the expansion of the existing wastewater treatment plant at that site.
That's very important.
And then they would also provide open space in the form of a couple of green spaces, parks in that overall 20-acre footprint, as well as commercial and housing. So they came out today with detail about the fact that based on the foreseen amount of regular commercial square footage plus med center site, they thought that they would need to produce about 87 units of affordable housing related to that project.
Wow.
So that's actually a good news scenario.
Where can we find information on this? Is there
go to the county website and the Planning Commission tab.
The Planning Commission
the packet for the May 8th, 2019 meeting. You'll be able to study some of this. There's a page of uses, one of the pages of the packet. There's a page that shows you there's a affordable housing mitigation formula that shows you those proposed uses, what the corresponding housing mitigation requirements are for a developer.
And what that means is if you're developing something, you have to put in a certain amount of housing.
Because we know that what you
develop.
develop.
Mitigation, it's a little bit squirrely, but what we're saying is if you build commercial housing, then, commercial stuff, then you also have to provide affordable housing.
Commercial or residential.
Commercial or residential.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So,
I think we're going to have to leave it there.
All right, that's perfect.
Wow, what
all
a
right.
super fantastic,
Well, that was lightning
summary.
round.
I know, right?
But
exactly.
we got all the
Ding,
information
ding, ding.
out.
Yes, we did. And we'll be back here again next month, Sean.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Sarah.
so
Look forward
much.
to it already. Thanks.